Hello and welcome to our live stream of Curse of Strahd as presented by For the Love of Crits. I'm level 1 Dungeon Master Hunter AU, and thank you again for joining us as we continue with our hubbub of holy men as they journey deeper into the lands of Barovia. Just want to take a quick moment to kind of give shout-outs to some of the programs we are using for music. We are using Sirenscape, paid-for program that allows you to be able to sync all of our audio for ambience, and they actually have specifically Curse of Strahd ambiance. The second program we are using is called Tailspire, a new program through Steam that allows us to be able to use 3D maps and kind of increase the immersion. For the maps on Tailspire, I am mostly using Demon Gund, a online creator for Tailspire that focuses in Curse of Strahd. So for that, without further ado, we are going to introduce some of our players first. This week, how about we start with Alex?
Oh, all right. Yeah, sure. Hi, Alex. I go by Barotheus on the internet in most places. I play Herbert Lightforge, human forge cleric, and worshipper of Gond. Um, he's got a new bird friend, which is fun. So we'll see how that eventually turns out poorly for him in this cursed place.
Okay, Josh.
All right, my name is Josh. I am playing our Warforged cleric Onyx, who worships the Tempest goddess Akadi. I go by Midget Man Online most of the time, but here tonight I am just Onyx. I am now a little skeptical of two of my compadres in this band that we have because they have come back from the dead recently, and nothing can go wrong in Barovia, right?
Hi, Cole.
Hello, I am Cole. I go by Elok Leakim, or just Elok online. I'm playing Conerith, the Twilight Domain cleric, worshiper of the goddess Selyu. And he's a very passive, docile person who only speaks telepathically, as it's a race feature that he has, and he's taken a vow of silence, so anytime that he's talking, you can always assume that it's through his head.
Hi, and Garion.
I'm Garion. I often go by either Noireg King or Grand Mage Garion online, and I am playing our Amnesiac Cleric Graves, Domain of the Graves, Worshipper of the Lady of the Graves, Pharasma, former Grave Digger. Got a little bit of a theme going on there. And yeah, I don't speak telepathically. I'm not a robot. I don't have a bird or anything. I just have amnesia, and I have a cool lantern that never stops burning.
And no pulse.
And no pulse. And I don't eat or breathe or anything like that.
But he's not undead.
Totally.
But I'm not undead. I'm not undead. Undead are an abomination.
So, as a warning, the content of Curse of Strahd has been created by Wizards of the Coast and is notorious for being a campaign with very dark genres and themes. This program is intended for mature audiences, and use of adult language and themes will be throughout. Viewer discretion is advised. We do thank you all again for joining. Again, we do ask, keep the chat civil and the comments civil, and avoid spoilers for this Wizards of the Coast adventure. We'll now like to recap what happened in the last session with our cluster of clerics. And please, for the love of crits, like and subscribe. I believe it was Elok Leakim that was reading it this week. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Without further ado.
Gather round, dear travelers, as I once more recount the next chapter in our angelic abbot's story. Having slain the undead abomination, and Conerith and Graves having returned to life, the party, discovering they were not yet safe,
as the entire manor began to shake and collapse around them. Conereth, traumatized by recent events, was the only one with the strength to open the gate, as Onyx and Herbert's strength had been sapped previously. Graves shook Conereth back to the present, if only long enough to escape. Fleeing the chamber, the clerics made their way back toward the main basement, quickly discovering the burial tombs of each member of the Durst family. Laying Walter, Thorn, and Rose's bones to rest in their respective coffins, the clerics fled the basement. Emerging back on the 3rd floor, the clerics discovered the house to be much different from before. Dust caked everywhere, and the true age of the house was revealed. They took with them the chest that had the maidservant body, so it could be buried once they escaped. With the stairs collapsed and missing, Onyx tied a rope down to the 1st floor. Meanwhile, Herbert went to the master bedroom and put the chest in the dumbwaiter for an easier way to send downstairs. He also grabbed a jewelry box on his way out. Once on the 1st floor, though the end was in sight, escaping the manor would not get any easier. Flames danced along the floor, blocking the heroes from the exit. Graves was able to grab the chest from the dumbwaiter in the kitchen, because of the smoke had no effect on his breathless lungs. Conereth beat some of the flames back with a wet towel, and Herbert plunged through, absorbing the heat into his weapon. But even still, the house wasn't going to let them simply walk out. Swinging scythes blocked the entryway, but Onyx, Graves, and Conereth dashed through unharmed. Herbert, however, fell to the blades, dragged out by Conereth and healed by Graves. With a short sigh of relief, the clerics took time to rest outside, now that they had finally escaped the death house. Conereth, still in obvious shock from the day's events, took off his clothes and washed himself in the fountain, with Onyx staying by his side. Meanwhile, Graves performs a funeral ceremony for the nursemaid, with the help of Herbert. They buried her in the small graveyard out back, and Herbert carved a name into the empty headstone. As he did so, a crow with a blue-tipped wing approached, befriended, and began following Herbert. At the conclusion of the funeral, Graves blessed the body, ensuring it would not be raised as an undead for the time being. Graves then spoke with Conereth. They discussed the visions they received upon death and inspected the keys around their necks, leaving them with more questions than answers. Not wishing to stay here any longer, the party headed to the nearby village of Barovia. As they headed down the road, they found a sign, which warns those coming from town not to enter the death house. A warning all too late for our heroes. They eventually arrive in the village of Barovia, a dark, dingy town at the bottom of a valley. Looming above it on the mountainside was the imposing sight of Castle Ravenloft. The only person on the streets was an old woman, selling pies door to door. She called herself Granny, mentioning she and her sisters made the pies at her windmill. The party spoke to her for a few moments, learning of a Vistani camp nearby, and that there was an inn just down the road. Granny, surprised to learn the party was not from Barovia, as not many folk travel to this dark land. For a moment, she thought Graves looked familiar, but it was clearly just a trick of the mind. The party then headed to the inn, Blood on the Vine, where they sought out a safe place to stay.
We now return as you guys are about to enter into the Blood of the Vine Tavern. A single shaft of light thrusting its illumination into the main square, its brightness looking like a solid pillar in the heavy fog. You see the sign hanging precariously askew, proclaiming this to be the Blood on the Vine Tavern. Who was entering first?
Perhaps Graves, unless someone else still wishes to.
I was
we
hanging
hadn't-
back because of the woman. I was always at the end.
I'd probably be shoulder to shoulder with Graves, and
Yeah, we
Just
seem to
let
be
it-
the two that tend to go first in social situations.
for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And this was the place that had the sign that was like written on, to scribble out like blood of the vine.
Correct.
So it's
Yeah.
now says blood on the vine.
So for this particular way, the way that works best in Tailspire is to kind of have a city map, and then for each individual building that you can enter into, have a separate map to be able to go to it, so you can more easily explore it.
Makes sense.
So this is the Blood on the Vine Tavern, scaled up to be closer to the size it actually would be. Graves opens up the door. Ahead of you, you see a modest-sized tavern with very few people within it. Inside, you see that there are 3 women sitting at a table near the front door. They're sitting in this table over here. Based upon their clothing, you see that it appears that they are Vistani.
Okay.
They glance in your direction, but quickly turn away, not interested in the arrival of the newcomers. Behind the bar, you see a pudgy little man tending it. He is cleaning glasses one after another. He cleans a glass, sets it down, grabs another, and begins cleaning it, staring off into the distance as if he has not a care in the world.
I assume it's the
Okay.
bar over here.
Yes.
I was like, okay, now I see a person.
Yeah. I guess Graves will walk up towards the bar. Look.
Is this
Hell.
table empty?
Which one? Yes, that table is empty. You do see that aside from yourself and the barkeep and the 3 women, it appears that this place is empty, as if it had been built at a time when there would have been a large fanfare of guests traveling throughout the area. Now, well past its prime, like a chest of gems that is hopelessly rusted shut.
Wait. Oh, it's just like an image of a chest of gems, you said?
It's like, no, I was
An
using
analogy.
like an analogy that it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, looks like at one time this was a beautiful bustling place, but now it's rusted shut that can't even be used.
Yeah. Long rundown and such kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But yeah. Graves, I guess, will walk up to the bar. Hail, barkeep.
He just kind of stares. He's almost staring directly through you, and he's just continuing to clean the glasses.
Do you have rooms here for rent?
Rooms,
Maybe-
5 copper.
How many
Drinks,
rooms would you
2
like?
copper.
Good. How many rooms would you like, friends? How many beds per room?
2.
Or say 2 room then, friends?
Sounds good to me.
All right. We'll take 2 rooms. Let me see who has copper.
I will. He kind of is. He's continuing to clean glasses, and he's not looking at the glasses as he grabs them, almost as if it is a muscle memory at this point that he's not even having to look down to grab them. You see that there's only about 2 glasses left in the pile he's grabbing from. As he's like, drinks now, room later.
All right. I will give him 1 silver to cover 2 rooms. Like, would any of you like drink?
Robert,
Mm,
I know I'm
Well-
not most charismatic person. Something's off with him.
He grabs the last glass in the pile to his left, and he's cleaning it. And he's just staring straight ahead. He's like, for a drink.
Yes, for a drink. So how much was it for drinks again, friend?
2 copper. You have enough for 5. And he holds up silver. He points at the silver. He sets the glass down on his right side. And without looking, he grabs a glass from the pile he just finished. And he's now cleaning it. And when he's done, he sets it to his left, creating the pile again. And he's going through.
All right, I'll give him
Graves,
another
you hear in your
silver.
head. You hear in your head. I just want water.
Who's you?
Yeah, I'll just give him another silver, be like, for the drinks and for the brews. I'll just take the drinks from him, I guess, when he gives them to me.
He reaches down, or he reaches kind of behind him and grabs a bottle of wine, and sets it down with 4 goblets.
Do you also have water here, friend?
Water free.
We can have.
Spigot in corner, and he points over towards this window. You can see that there is like a spigot, kind of reaching in from a well outside.
Ah, perfect. Thank you very much. What was your name?
Arik.
Arik. Thank you, Arik.
He
And,
does not say anything. And now the pile on his other side is now growing again as he's continuing to re-clean the glasses he just finished cleaning.
Is this? No, I'm gonna leave it. I had a thought, but I'm like, I shouldn't go there. Too meta-y.
Listen, Onyx, don't take this the wrong way, but I've met constructs with more personality than this barkeep. I'm standing in front of one, obviously.
Oh, that's my thought. Like, I know I'm not one that necessarily gets every joke, but this is strange for you.
Graves will take the drinks over to a table and motion for the others to come with him, I guess. Like,
He's just staring off into space. Herbert's like, it's like he doesn't have any life behind his eyes.
are you speaking about the barkeep?
Yes. And are we going over
Yes.
to the stable?
Yeah, there's a water spigot right there, so we can go there.
Correct. Yes.
You were dropping those in, right? There weren't just people just appearing.
No, those
in
are the
park.
3 Vistani women that are
Okay.
there that you see. They aren't really giving you any heed. They are drinking wine, and conversing animatedly but quietly.
Graves would probably kind of think from, but like, it almost seems odd. From what Torin, my mentor, told me before I died the first time, similar to that man, didn't have much personality. Maybe it was just he thought I was a simpleton. Perhaps that just had something. Maybe I was just shy or something. But no, it just reminds me of that.
As you guys are sitting down, you do hear the tavern door open. A young man looking like he's in his mid-20s walks in, hobbling with a cane. His left leg appears to be mangled beyond repair. Glancing around, seeing your party, he immediately starts walking towards you, almost as if he has a purpose.
Almost, but not quite.
Well, no, definitely as if he has a purpose. You can tell that while he is walking fairly quickly, he is doing so at great harm to himself, that he is wincing in pain as he gets closer to you. He has a strong jaw, similar to who was it that has a strong jaw in our party? Is that Graves? Similar to Graves.
That was a specific feature mentioned about Graves.
But he has a strong jaw. He is clean shaven, something that isn't common in the areas that you come from. His hair is dark, graying despite his age. Onyx, are you at the counter or are you...
I am.
Okay. He kind of glances over at you, but he continues walking this way towards the group of the party. And he's going to, as he goes there, he gives a slight bow and he's like, excuse me. I overheard your conversation with Granny, and I have a proposal for your party, if you will hear me.
Do you have
Have
something
it?
against this, Granny? Or are you involved with
She
her
is...
business?
Sorry?
Are you involved with her business?
No, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ismark the Lesser. Are any of you from Barovia? He kind of glances around. His eyesight would pause on Graves a bit longer than the rest, but the rest of you, your clothing and stuff kind of points him to not believe you are from Barovia.
No, we're from along the forgotten. I'm mixing up worlds.
Forgotten Coast. Or the Sword,
Yeah, Sword Coast.
Yeah.
Sword Coast, yeah.
Forgotten
along
Realms.
the Sword Coast. I was like, Lost Coast? No, that's Pathfinder.
My father had books that spoke of such a place, but no person of living memory has been there, aside from perhaps some of the Vistani. And he kind of, he looks like he's about to glance over his shoulder at the woman, but then like second guesses it and continue looking towards you through. And he's like, should we wait for your companion?
Onyx?
He's probably gathering intelligence. Sure he'll be a minute.
Yes, I wish him luck. Arik is a good person, but unfortunately he's one of those affected by the land. I don't think he will be able to provide much in ways of
Affected
information.
by the land? What do you mean? We've come to realize this land is odd.
My father always told us that it was cursed. He was quite wise, and he ruled Barovia with wisdom throughout his years, and he had access to quite a bit of knowledge to be able to learn more about the history of the other burgomasters.
Your father was a burgomaster?
Yes, my father was.
See the current master?
My father, as of 2.5 days ago, died.
I'm so sorry.
Did you
It is-
perhaps have a sister as well?
My adopted sister, yes.
Irene?
How did you know?
Who has the letter?
I
Not
think-
sure who has it, but while you guys are deciding that, we can kind of get Onyx's roleplay out of the way so that he's able to kind of rejoin with the party as well. Onyx, how are you approaching this barkeep?
Probably I would just be kind of like walking up, keeping a weird like side glance looking at him, kind of staring him down.
He, as you're like kind of giving the side glances, his eyes aren't really flickering. It's almost like he has a point far off in the distance you can't see that his eyes are locked upon. And he has no other vision aside from that. Almost as if he is blind. You have seen people who are blind that mostly work with just their hands, and they kind of have everything set in its place.
And
He does not have the eyes of a blind person, though, where it is grayed out.
right. I'd initially be looking to see if he was a construct of some sort, just because it would make sense. But I'm assuming I don't anything like that.
No, roll me a perception check at advantage, since your master used quite a few constructs, and you were kind of familiar with their nature.
Almost like a human trying to recognize a human.
Here's one, and then
9 and a... 16. Okay, with the 16, you are looking, and despite his affect, he is still perspirating. He is breathing. He has all the attributes you would attribute to human, aside from the emotions. If this is a construct, you know your master would be extremely interested in the methodology of creating these, to the point that you wonder if it's some type of dark magic. But you have no knowledge of that.
Sir, I'm interested in. Is there a special reason why you clean the cups more than once?
Drink 2 copper.
Oh, you misunderstand. I don't drink. I'm just curious about why you're cleaning the cups twice.
At this point, he would have worked through it. That he's actually cleaning them a 3rd time. Going back the other direction.
My
Only
my
3 times as far as you
apologies. 3 times. Is it put a special shine on them? Should I do that to my armor?
He is clean, and he just says, "Drink 2 copper." Let me silence that.
It only kills 99.9% of germs. So if you do it again, then it kills 99.9 of the remaining germs.
And then 99.99% of those.
Exactly.
Apologies.
You said your name was Eric, right?
He just says, "I."
Is this your bar, or do you just work here?
I.
How did you come to be here?
Drink 2 copper. And he doesn't really seem to acknowledge your question. And you very much get the sense that he doesn't understand much.
And I'm going to try. I normally hide, but this guy's giving me the heebie-jeebies. And I'm gonna, stand in the way of where he's looking to try to make eye contact.
Okay. As you kind of stand in front of him, it gives you that feeling that he's focused on something outside of the building, like he's x-raying all the way through you, the pillar behind you, and the walls behind you.
What are you focused on?
Drink 2 copper.
Let me dumb it down. I'm sorry. What are you looking at? Is it moving?
Was that a question for me or for Arik?
For Arik.
He's just continuing to clean those glasses.
Would you care if I burnt the bar down?
Aye.
What is the wine made of?
Drink 2 copper.
Oh my. I'm pacing back and forth, like, "Ah!"
It's Onyx's frustration. That is the best part of this. By far.
He'd probably blow out the candle and storm over here.
He does not react to the candle blowing out, and he's just continuing to clean the glasses as if nothing happened.
Oh, Onyx, you joined us.
That guy's dumber than a bag of rocks.
I did not have the letter, at least not in my inventory. Did one of you have it? The one we found on the road?
I know someone did.
I didn't write it in my inventory.
Yeah.
But
I know I didn't write it down at least.
I'm pretty sure Graves was the one to pick it up, weren't you? Because you were inspecting.
I did pick it up, yes. Maybe
So-
I do have it.
You have it.
Sure, I have it. This note right here we found on just after we passed through the gates to Barovia on a dead messenger.
Oh, may I?
Of course.
He pulls it up. Let me take a look.
How does the ale taste, by the way?
It's not ale, it's a wine. They're actually
Wine.
Right.
the wine, it's basic wine. You are it's neither the best thing you've tasted in the world nor the worst.
Out of there.
There's 3 wines here, so I'm gonna use prestidigitation to flavor each one of the wines. It's the best tasting wine I've ever tasted from Waterdeep.
Mm.
I think we have enough for 5 drinks. I think said 2 of us don't drink or eat or anything, and one of us just wanted water.
Yeah,
So you
that's
get a
true.
whole.
So Herbert,
bottle.
you get a whole bottle of wine.
Yeah, I do have an actual bottle of wine in my inventory though.
Yep, from
Nice.
the chest.
Yeah, Graves just has like the cup in front of him, but he hasn't like even put anything in his.
Now, as you you look at the bottle, you do see that it says purple grape mash number 3.
I love it.
Now
Purple grape.
Ismark is reading through the letter, and he's
Hey,
like,
was that the same name as who wrote it, or is it a different name?
it is a different name.
Okay.
The name of the person that wrote it is Kolyan Indirovich.
Right, in Jorovich.
Reading through, he's like, I do remember this, my father writing this letter, and this is definitely his handwriting. I was unaware of the contents of it. I'm assuming that whoever my father had entrusted this letter to was unsuccessful.
Yes, wolves.
And they tore
Hey,
up
and he's like-
heads, and like arm was broken, and his
And-
clothes were rotted. Like, just gives out these horrible details.
As you're kind of talking, he kind of rubs like his left thigh. He's like, yes, the wolves here can be quite vicious.
Hmm. But they seem to not go onto the road itself, we noticed.
No, it's strange.
Hmm.
I have not traveled too much outside of my village. I have learned under the tutelage of my father, who I will now have to take over as burgomaster of the village of Barovia.
Hmm.
But
So you're essentially sort of like a mayor or lord of the town. You're in charge, essentially, now.
in a sense, I am. The burgomaster is in charge of collecting the taxes from the people, ensuring that deeds are given to the right people and that people do not make too much riffraff. But the majority of it is to make sure that the laws of the land are being followed and that the taxes are collected for the Lord.
What sort of taxes are demanded?
The typical
Huh.
taxes you would expect. The
Sales tax and property tax, income tax.
more so crop tax is
Crop tax.
majority of it. The any surrounding farms, they give a portion of the goods in order to maintain the land, and also some gold that is collected. We we keep it accounted for, even if it's not collected every year. For it could be a time when it is come to be collected, and we do not want to not have it at that time.
So,
But
sorry to
go
interrupt,
ahead.
but I have not seen one single guard since entering these lands. What do you
That's
guys do to keep, in exchange for these goods?
I'm sorry, I do not understand the question.
These farmers
Yeah.
pay your goods. You're supposed to upkeep the lands and keep them safe, right?
I think he's asked, do you have like town guards, people who protect the town physically, or like look after the roads, so on and so forth?
I
Exactly.
think what he's getting at is, do you get something back for these taxes? Or is it just putting off some sort of horrible punishment?
No, not at all. It's typically in the past, it was utilized to keep out foreign invaders. Times long since past. We collect it for the safety of our people. It would be best to leave it at that. But please,
Very
I don't think I need to roll an insight to know he's there's some details he doesn't want to share.
the reason though I wanted to speak with you, I overheard you speaking to Granny as you entered the village. I was looking around for help. As I had said, my father passed away 2.5 days ago. You already know by this letter that my sister my adopted sister, Irina. She has been bitten by the vampire, the devil Strahd. And he has, for some reason, taken an interest in her. Unfortunately, this has caused me not to be able to put my father's body to rest. Since my father died from the stress of the attacks on our house, the attacks have ceased. I need to get him to the church across the town from our home. But with my leg, I am unable to carry him for his soul to be put to rest. And after 3 days, his body and soul will no longer have any rest. And upon mine honor, I cannot allow my father, after all he did for the lands of Barovia and for me, to not have his soul at rest.
I'd say that is a valid request, one that we are, I believe, quite capable of. We are all men of the cloth ourselves. I am a servant of the Lady of the Graves.
Pharasma.
Yes, I oversee funeral rites, burials, all this such. So I very much understand the need.
Yes,
How did you know
Sorry?
that? It just seems like I guess I wasn't ready for you to just know that. I don't know. Didn't
The
think it was
name of his god, correct?
I thought it was a lesser known one, I guess. Maybe.
Well, I know very few gods that are worshipped. There is the Morning Lord, of which Father Donovich worships at the Church of Barovia, and has been the god of this area for a long time. I only recognize his symbol because months back there was another cleric with the same symbol, and he told me of his god.
There was
Sure.
another kind of Pharasma here in Barovia.
Yes, I don't recall his name. He
Interesting.
left traveling to Valaki, and I never saw him again.
Well,
We don't have
perhaps-
too many visitors coming in through Barovia, so
Yes. Multiple with the
we-
same symbol then would be recognizable, I imagine, then.
no, I actually, until you had said that you were a new cleric, I assumed you had found armor and that he was dead.
Say I received this from my master back in Bowshot town where I hail from.
I've not heard of it.
It's from the Sword Coast, quite a ways away. I did, however, have one other question for you before we continue. You said your father died from stress from the attacks on your house. What sort of attacks were happening on your house, and why would they have ceased once he died? Were they aimed at him, and who was attacking? Or what?
As I said, my sister has, for reasons unknown to us, become, how should I say,
The object of obsession, perhaps, for this vampire?
an object of desire for
So
him.
related to that situation?
Yes,
Okay.
he has. I want to preface, you can tell he's being exceptionally careful with his words. That he is actually like pausing in between, as if each word he's almost like chewing on before he lets it go out. He, that is to say, the Lord Strahd, is one with a silver tongue. He was able to charm his way to Irina, which is how she had become bitten. The attacks started soon after her first bite. The attacks happening each night. Strahd not coming in himself, but being able to send his many servants. We were locked in the home. Sorry?
Who was attacking you?
The vampire, I believe, the Strahd.
His servants more so.
Yes.
At least that's what we assume. The wolves, the vile undead. Those things that haunt every Barovian's nighttime visits. He sent them, the pounding upon our doors. My father being trapped within the house, unable to leave, him writing this desperate letter in a hope of, in one final bout of goodwill, he may be able to save others from the same fate as us. Even in his last moments, it seems he still had the hopes of the people on his mind. I hope that I can become half the man he was. But even if I'm doomed to be lesser.
Well,
But no one in the village will help me. The Lord views himself as honorable. After the death of my father, he told us he would give us time to bury him, to give him rest, even though it was his servants and their pounding upon our doors that caused him to die in the first place. But with this obsession, no one in this village will help me, even though my father has always been there for them and always was on their side.
My friend, I would say, I for one am certainly willing to help you. What do you say, the rest of you? Shall we go help this man put his father to rest?
I'm certainly on board with that. Curious to learn more about what's going on here as well.
Yes.
So, yeah, go ahead, Koenig.
Quinair?
Were
Sorry?
you gonna say something?
I was he saying something?
I
I
didn't
thought
think so.
he. I thought I had cut.
I started to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. I just want to make sure I wasn't cutting
Claire
them off.
is too afraid to speak telepathically, is my guess.
The
Yeah, he's still traumatized too, so
Yes.
yes. In exchange, we live in the old burgomaster's mansion. We'd be more than happy for you to be able to use our spare bedrooms. It is empty and it would save you some coin.
I already did pay for some rooms here, but I don't really mind.
you paid for the drinks.
I paid for both.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah, I gave him 2 silver.
okay. Sorry.
But I mean, I'm like, I don't care. It's only 2 silver.
Mhm.
Whatever. You can have it.
Arik is, as I said, affected by the land. He's much more attentive to cleaning his cups and his rooms. But if you choose, my home will be open to you and I will be in your debt.
So, I guess I'm missing the part why you guys got attacked. Wouldn't it be?
The obsession with his sister. Was it to
Daughter.
claim the sister? I assume she was still present in your home, is my assumption.
She is still present in there. She is locked in there. I'm afraid for her to leave the home.
Yeah, so
It seems as long as she's in there, she is safe. But
so Strahd was sending
only
his
so
minions
long.
to collect her, I suppose, something of that sort.
yes, or to
Is-
scare her into the open. We are not sure.
Yes.
But
So you and your dad
regardless,
don't like your sister shagging with the vampire.
I'm not familiar with this term. She,
I'm
A little bit more than that.
not quite familiar
She-
either, but from context, I'm going to guess that it's something to do with romance or sexual encounters. Which,
Yeah.
of course, I would be opposed to as well, as
the
I'm
devil
not a fan of
Strahd
undead.
has charmed her. I'm not familiar with Emily, but he has, over this time ruling this land, learned how to be able to charm his way as well as force his way.
You mean perhaps charm is in with personality or with magic? Because those are very different things.
To be honest, with him, it could be a combination of both.
That is a
Both are
possibility.
exceptionally effective.
Yes.
There's really not much difference between the two, frankly. I've
My
seen
sister,
non-magical nobles charm poor maids into their beds to be cast aside in
That is fair.
single action.
yes, well, she does not say it, but I think my sister is scared. And I do not blame her, and I am scared for her. I fear that with my father being gone, I will not be able to put the same attention to protect her that I once was able to, and Barovia is not a town that is built to defend.
Does
Perhaps.
not appear to be.
No.
My friends, I would argue for helping this man. Partially, sounds to be the right thing to do. As a cleric of Pharasma, I'd certainly see the need for a proper funeral and burial, especially in what we've seen from this land to prevent being raised as an undead.
I thank you, sir. I
So, regardless, I believe I will come. I'd much prefer my party comes with me, but I believe it is the right thing for someone in my position to do.
You can speak for me in this instance. I am fully on board.
Nerf, what about you? You, I assume from looking over, I now see Conair just looking into the fire. I'll kind of just, I assume then kind of be like, one moment. Walk over, just kind of gently tap him on the shoulder. Conair, friend.
Yes.
This man is the son of the burgomaster or former burgomaster. Died a couple of days ago because of the vampire, and he's asked us to help him take his father's body to the church for burial. Are you all right to do that with us?
Yes. Sorry, I've been a bit
Oh, no.
lost since the building. No, that sounds like a very worthy thing to do.
Yes, we can stay at him there as well, Vicente, but don't apologize, my friend. You've been through a lot. I understand. If you need anything, whether literally need anything or emotionally or anything to talk to, we are all here for you.
I appreciate that. But I'll be fine.
Right, don't hesitate. I'll kind of try and be like, Konar, our friend here, Konoeth, is willing to help as well.
The Conair just kind of looks over, makes eye contact, and nods.
He is a more silent one.
thank you. You are all new to Barovia, but help like this is not come, and I appreciate it. When I heard you were new to Barovia, I have found that the few times we do get visitors, they are much more charitable and kind than those who have grown up in this dark land.
Well, our homes are not perfect either. They seem more cheery than this in some ways.
Why is it that your locals don't band together to help each other out?
I mean, before you,
It's-
well, I guess. I'm sorry, I was about to try and give you an example of maybe when you were young, but I understand that that probably didn't happen for you, Onyx. You've always been the way you are,
Correct.
formidable and powerful. Not everyone is that way. I, for one, I need to wear all this just to compete with what you are naturally. It's so much harder for someone who doesn't have the means. I'm gifted and I've been lucky my life, so
Yes, but one-on-one, certainly. If you band together, any can
It's-
take down Great One.
That doesn't come
You
without cost as well,
You're
though.
not the first to say so. You remind me of a man my father told me of. He banded so many folk together. Laid siege to Castle Ravenloft itself. And every single one of them died. Not a
that's-
single one survived.
That's
Even though there was 3 or 4 score of men.
That's a decent army.
Him,
But bad leadership then.
yes, I don't know if he was a leader. he was a magic user of some kind.
It isn't necessarily poor leadership either. Maybe it could also be that even together their strength just didn't compete. Because
I
certain beings of powerful might need 10 to take him down. They might need 1,000. Not every powerful being is equal.
and
But personally, I would rather die like that than do nothing personally. But I am not every person.
well, he has ruled for over 600 years. You don't do that without reason.
Wants a significant power.
But please, the day is getting on. The sunset is arriving. It's not a far walk from here to the burgomaster's mansion and then to the church of Barovia. I can reimburse you for the drinks that you had bought. I hope to catch you before you ordered so I could offer
No,
my hospitality.
It's no worries. I have the means. I'm not a rich man, but neither am I begging for scraps. 2 silver is all right. Help the folks of the land.
Yeah. He's going to hold the letter out that you had given him, be like, thank you for, even if it was not in the way my father intended, responding to his letter.
I'm gonna
Think-
actually add it to my inventory this time.
As you go to grab it, you do notice that it takes him a moment to release it, and then he kind of realizes that he was holding on to it. He's like, I think my father would be happy to know that men of true faith responded to his call. Even if he was not in the way he was expecting.
So I just want to be of use, and I feel like I can do that here. I'm happy
Yes.
that you've requested our help, frankly.
Yeah. And I will be honest with you. When we first came to Barovia, it was not for any sort of necessarily heroic purposes. We did come with our own reasons and goals, but as we come and seen, you are a land that certainly needs all the help that it can get, and while we are here, we will do what we can.
Thank you. And I am so sorry I introduced myself, but I did not ask your names.
Well, I'm Herbert, Herbert Lightforge. I'll gesture to Graves.
I am Graves.
I guess we introduced Conereth already.
Yes.
And I believe we mentioned Onyx's name.
Why?
This is Onyx. And we are us.
Yes.
We are
I have
we.
not seen your kind before, but I welcome you to the humble village of Barovia.
I assume he is referencing Warforged looking at Onyx. when
He
says that.
is. And he kind of
Me and
gives
Herbert just look like
he gives a
humans.
slight bow where his he is he has his cane in front of him slightly to the left side to support the weight of his leg, and he kind of gives a slight bow.
By the way, this whole time I've kind of been like eyeing his leg to see if there's any way I could build some sort of brace that might help him walk on his own.
For sure. You can roll me either an intelligence check with proficiency or a medicine check.
Okay.
You're kind of like
Good.
looking him up and down, taking measurements of his leg. Like,
Yeah.
Being like, well, if I put a gear here and like a rod here.
Just need support right there.
Ooh.
Nice.
So, as you're kind of looking, you can see that, based upon the way his leg is kind of set up, it looks like at one point, the muscles of it were kind of torn away from the bone.
He
You
did
can't
hold it when we said wolves.
Yeah, he does not have it open, like you can't see the actual skin. But you can tell based on the way that his trousers are moving against his leg that it is a large chunk of flesh that is missing from around his thigh, causing him to not be able to walk or hold weight on it. You think that given enough time with a forge or being able to build something perhaps less than a week, you could probably make him something that would work as a prosthetic to kind of help him move away from using the cane. He would never win any races, but he would probably be able to stand on his own 2 feet.
I think that would be neat. I'm not gonna really say anything because I don't want to like
False promise.
get his hopes up and then not be able to follow through. But
Let's see if we
is-
don't have a week of downtime at any point.
the other thing I was gonna ask, like, is that a week of like manual crafting as opposed to maybe using my blessing of the forge?
How often per day can you use the Blessing of the Forge?
I can do it once per long rest.
So, because of the Blessing of the Forge, you know that it would take, you'd have to make probably about 4 or 5 pieces specifically using the Blessing of the Forge, and then it would take a day or two for you to be able to make all of the adjustments for it to fit around his leg, for it to be able to effectively work. And it'd also be collecting the materials, because you couldn't use just straight iron, because with his weakened state it would be too heavy. So you would have to find a lighter material that was also strong enough to be able to
Titania.
Like mithril.
Ooh. Have
So-
a mithril egg race. That'd be really cool and prestigious, though. Honestly,
but yeah, so that would be your main thing, is like in your head, and like I'm like imagining like all the calculations are just like rolling around your head, and then you're like getting excited, you're like, oh, a project, and
Yeah.
you're like you're wanting to build it to help and everything.
I'll just pull out some paper and just start sketching while everyone's talking. Just not saying anything, just
uh,
sketching diagrams.
I apologize for you, but as I said, sunset is approaching, and I'd like to put him to rest. Or Handy.
yes.
Father Donovich has been waiting to be able to perform the ceremony, and my father was a worshipper of the morning lord.
Yes. Well, I have no issues of heading out now. The rest of you.
Oh, we're not doing this in the morning?
Unfortunately, it's my father died 2.5 days ago. At sunset this evening, that is when his soul will no longer be at rest. It is why I was desperately knocking on doors,
Yeah.
asking for anyone to help when I overheard your conversation.
Can I roll a religion to see if I recognize that belief?
The morning lord?
No, like
yeah.
the soul departing after 3 days.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see. I have a +3 on this.
I'm still exhausted.
So 14.
Like,
You would know it's actually a very common belief among multiple different religions. The viewpoint is that so let's see, with an 11, you wouldn't know exactly where it started from, but you would know that quite a few different religions do hold that after 3 days, that is the point that the soul leaves the body fully, because it doesn't believe that anything else is going to be happening at that
So,
point. And
I
if
feel
it's
like-
not laid to rest, it has nowhere to go. So it just
Yeah. I almost like potentially in like Pharasma's religion, I could feel almost like interprets it like because in like from Pharas, like you go to Pharasma's boneyard and are sent off to your afterlife from there.
mhm.
And like at that point is when you can't be resurrected anymore normally. I almost feel like in that religion almost makes sense that like that's how long it takes you to like pass through the boneyard or something. Could be how we potentially interpret it.
We're
Just a
not
thought.
level 3 yet, right?
Correct.
It was
No.
just
You're not yet. No.
okay. Never mind that.
Now, as far as like just kind of for your own sake, the reason that actually is kind of belief, because it's actually a belief in a lot of cultures today, or
Yeah.
at least was in the past. About after 3 days after death, with the decomposition, that's when the body begins to bloat, and the blood containing foam leaks from the nose and mouth.
Yeah.
And so it was almost a view that it's like, oh, the soul left the body, and now the
Yeah.
body is decomposing.
And I
So that's kind of
assume-
where the belief came from in real life.
Yeah, I assume Graves would know about the bloating to start and then everything as someone that literally buries people all the time
Mm-hmm.
as his job.
But yes, so
Anyway,
but yeah, you would know this is a very common belief.
All right.
Well, let's pray nothing awful happens, but
we're in town at least.
we've been through a lot today, so
We're just
Um,
moving your dad to the church, and that's it.
Yes.
It's all in the town, correct?
What could
yes.
possibly go wrong?
well, you
It's
had
not
mentioned the house
it's not
could be
quite
done.
far. It's down the street to the burgomaster's mansion. We already have we had a coffin commissioned to place him in, and it shouldn't be too hard for, especially if there are 4 of you, to be able to carry. Unfortunately, with my I will not be able to assist as much as I would like to.
Okay.
Well, should
Is
we head
there-
out then?
Is there any chance we've had a short rest in the
I would, yeah, you would have had a short rest. At
We
that
had a
time.
we had a short rest back at the manor when we
Yeah,
left.
that's-
Oh,
went
that
outside.
too, yeah.
Gotcha.
You guys,
Gotcha.
I forgot about that.
I would probably lag behind the party.
Mhm.
And as they exit, I would probably make my way down to the women
Okay.
and just Onyx. Excuse me, women. Are you from Barovia?
They kind of look over and squint at you like in confusion, and they kind of look at each other, and the one in the center is like, of course we're from Barovia. Where else would we be from? Valaki?
Well, you could be travelers like myself. Anyways, since you're from Barovia, do you know the Burgermaster?
They kind of like one of them whispers like something, and the other two kind of laugh as an inside joke. They're like, yes, he passed away. But why do you ask?
Oh, I'm just curious what you thought of him. And his son. And his daughter.
Mm.
And the family, I guess.
You ask a lot of questions.
It's good to have intel.
Yes, but be careful that you do not go seeking too many roses and get pricked by a thorn.
Oh, don't worry, my hands are metal. I don't get pricked.
They're fools, all of them. Now go.
Why do you call
They
them
go back to
fools?
the dream. I tire of this conversation. Let us drink in peace.
You lot are, not very helpful. I just walk out.
As you walk out, let's see.
It is
Do-
not easy for me to play a lower than average charisma.
He was the god of his 6 charisma. I'm like, ah.
Just imagine you're like that meme of the guy holding the skateboard who's like Steve Buscemi or whatever. It's like,
Yes.
hello,
I love
females.
Yes.
Hello, young children. I am also a young hip dude.
I accidentally rolled a die. There
Oh
you go.
no.
Oh.
7 more shades attack.
Uh,
Galadon shows up.
So, yeah. He points straight ahead, down this pathway here. He's like, the Burgomaster's mansion is at the end of this street. As he points over towards this direction, he's like, the church is upon the hill on the northwest side of town.
Oh, you mean that thing with the purple glow in it?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe that there are lights and ancient stained glass, I think it's called.
And I'm assuming you're talking about this is what he was pointing.
Yeah,
down
the
towards.
creepy looking building over there.
Yeah. What can go?
So as you guys walk forward, you do hear, as you are passing, you see that this building that you are passing, it has a sign hanging in front and it says Bildrath's Mercantile. Passing by it, you do hear sound, a moaning sob floating through the still gray streets, coloring your thoughts with sadness. The sound flows from a dark 2-story townhouse up here.
Somebody really sad in there.
Ismark does not seem to react. He is looking left and right as he's walking through the misty street,
Is it
heading
getting
straight.
mistier?
It is
there's
not.
more
I think it just raised a little bit. There we go. It's a bit more what
Yeah.
it should be.
We stepped
What it was
down,
is
like,
I had
a
it
little
set-
bit from where we were.
I had it set up, for the entrance of it, which was
Yes.
slightly higher, I think.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I
And
couldn't
so-
tell it was going down because I couldn't see the ground.
Yeah. So he walks up straight ahead. You see a weary-looking mansion squatting behind a rusting iron fence. The iron gates are twisted and torn. The right gate lies cast aside, while the left swings lazily in the wind. The stuttering squeal and clang of the gate repeats with mindless precision. Weeds choke the grounds and press with menace upon the house itself. Yet against the walls, the growth has been tramped down to create a path all about the domain. Heavy claw marks have stripped the once beautiful finish of the walls. Great black marks tell of the fires that have assailed the mansion. Not a pane nor shard of glass stands in any window. All the windows are barred with planks, each one marked with stains of evil omen.
We tell stains of what?
Evil omen.
Like just satanic symbols or like
More
demonic
so
symbols or...
scratching, as if someone was
Oh.
clawing it with their nails.
Okay. Okay.
Gotcha. Yes.
That you see it like blood upon it, claw marks, things that make you feel like a great evil took place there.
Trying to get in?
Correct?
Well, and now you see why I was worried that something might happen, seeing as this house has been attacked.
And you live here?
Yes, this has been the ancestral home of the burgomasters of Barovia since as far back as I know history.
This is where he's offering for us to stay the night.
You can tell that at one point this was built by someone that likely used quite a bit of funds from the city that they shouldn't have been using, and probably put quite a bit of strain upon the townsfolk for the amount of money that would have been used to it, but it has not been maintained.
Real fixer-upper, I see.
Yes, it was quite beautiful at one point, from what I've been told. We have maintained it as much as we can, as it allows the burgomaster, my father, me, I guess, to be able to maintain control over the city while not being forced to have to travel to a mayor's townhouse.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you do conduct business here, then?
Yes, I have an office, but he walks up to the door, and he puts his right hand against it and lifts his cane up, and he wraps his cane against the door. From within, almost immediately after he knocks, you hear the voice of a young woman. She says, "State your business. Be you friend, foe, servant of him?" "It's sister, it is I. Open up. I found help to move father." You hear locks opening up from within. Sounds like there's 2, then 5, and another one, and then you hear the sound of a board being lifted up. Obviously, has been set up to protect against a siege from many foes. The doors open inwards, and within you see a woman with brown hair. She has armor on over a red dress. And despite her disheveled looks, all of you can see that she is a great beauty. And it wouldn't surprise you if the Lord of the land had set his eye upon her, and with single-minded abandon sought after her. And at that point, we are going to take a bio break. So we will be back in about 10 minutes to continue our tale of woe in Barovia. Thank you, and welcome back to our Curse of Strahd live stream. We had just approached our players as they found they locked eyes with the sight of Irina, a beautiful woman who has caught the eye of the Lord Strahd himself. Ismark looks to you and please come in. It's best to not tarry too long upon the doorstep.
Onyx quickly looks around.
Yeah, looking for signs of damage inside as well.
Okay. So Onyx, roll me a perception check really quick.
Ooh.
Oh, so you kind of look around and you survey the ground around. You see that there are weeds trampled all the way around the building of here, as well as scores of wolf paw prints and human footprints. The human footprints do not appear to have been wearing shoes. It does appear that these creatures have been attempting to tear the wood planks away from the windows. However, they don't seem to have been successful, to the point that they've almost been beating themselves to injury in attempts to succeed and have been unsuccessful. As you enter into the mansion, however, was it Herbert that was looking around for damage?
Yes, very
Okay.
much.
You see that the interior of the mansion is well furnished, yet the fixtures do show signs of great wear. Noticeable oddities around the room are boarded up windows and the presence of holy symbols in every room. That of what you recognize to be an old version of the symbol of Lathander, or the Morning Lord. You see that there are an entrance stairwell ahead of you, as well as what appears to be an open door to the left side leading to a foyer. As you walk in, you do find that the architecture does remind you quite a bit of the Death House or Durst Manor, and you would assume that this was built around the same time.
I suppose
Almost
they
like they're
use
from the same area.
They use the same architect.
Almost like it's, an hour outside of the town.
Not
Almost
to-
like they're nearby each other.
well,
Irina kind of looks at you with hesitancy and almost suspicion. And Ismark kind of moves over to her and puts his hand on her shoulder, and he's like, "Do not worry, sister. These are men of true faith. They can be trusted. They are strong. I heard that they successfully entered into the Durst Manor and escaped." When he says this, she kind of her eyes kind of widen and she looks at you guys with slightly new respect. "Please, I will show you to the drawing room where my father's body has been prepared." Irina, you see that she goes into this room here and closes the door behind her.
Where is your sister going?
I believe that she was going into her room. I'm not entirely sure. She has, as of late, been getting a little bit tired of staying in the home. She is used to traveling around and being able to see the townsfolk and help the community. Here it is. You see in the burgomaster's side room, lying on the floor, is a simple wooden coffin, surrounded by wilting flowers and a faint odor of decay. We did what we could to preserve his body, but I am not skilled in these arts.
Would you like me to do what I can? As I am a grave digger and burial master by trade, or would you prefer to just take him to the church and let them do so?
At this point, with how close we are to dusk for the service, I'd rather get him over to the church.
Absolutely.
Keeping his body from decaying is not as important as keeping his soul intact.
Precisely. And I would imagine that they have experience there anyway.
You do also see in this room that there are boards and barricaded against the windows. Obviously, every room of the house, you would assume, has been set up to fight against this siege.
If what we're doing in the room, like the conversation taking place, takes longer than like a minute or 2 or 3 or even 5, I think that Herbert would walk over to the windows and touch them and just sort of like close his eyes and start casting mending on them just to fix some of the dings in them.
Yeah, it would take at least a minute, so you see that some of the nails that had originally been put in to hold the planks in, with the relentless beating against them, they have started to come out, and you're able to put your hand toward them. I'm assuming you kind of like are muttering under your breath, or...
Yeah, I'm just sort of muttering to myself, and as I'm touching it and feeling it, I'm like almost getting flashes and images of like the damage that this wood has taken and the assault that this house has been under. So it just sort of leaves me feeling a little bit more dread.
Yeah, the nails are pulling themselves back into the wood, and you see that the bent nature of them, it's starting to straighten out. As your hand is on it, you feel the planks tighten against the wall. Ismark looks over and he's like, "Thank you. I appreciate your help, especially that which has been unasked for. I'm glad that I found you when I did."
No need to thank me. I'm just doing what I should.
Well, I will lead the way. Like I said, it should not be hard to move the coffin. It does have handholds on it.
Including if multiple of us having like 3 or so of us having like sub 10 strength right now from damage and such.
No, that's been recovered from the short.
Oh right, right.
Yeah.
I just have sub 10 anyway.
I don't
double
think
check.
it was.
Is it?
It might be long. I don't know how it works in 5e.
Let me double check if it's short or long rest. Oh, it's short or long rest.
Oh.
So
okay.
I'm feeling great again.
So yeah, so it's only Graves with sub 10 because he's just a weak boy.
Yep.
I had lost 6 points of my strength. Okay.
The
If I
bells.
lost that much, I'd be at 2.
The bells. Father, he must be preparing for the ceremony.
Oh, we should hurry. I'll take this end.
You guys see that there are 4 handles, and as you lift it together, it is quite easy to hold. As you are walking out, you see this door open, and Irina walks out, and she now has a hand and a half sword strapped on her right side. Her armor has been kind of tightened. Her sleeves are rolled up. And she is standing there looking at Ismark. And Ismark pauses and he's like, Irina, what are you doing? I told you must stay here. She kind of stands, her shoulders back. She's like, I will not wait here while you bury our father alone. I must pay my last respects to him, even if it is risking my life. There's no point in being in here. He put everything on the line for me when he adopted me. What kind of daughter would I be if I just stood by as his memory was put to rest?
Alive?
Is a fair request. It is important to honor the dead, when especially those that we were close to.
Thank you. These are men you said they could help protect us. Strahd gave his word he would let us bury father.
would
I
be
don't know
more-
why, but I feel like we can trust his word on that.
I feel as though I'd be more wary of returning than the trip back than the trip there from his ability.
Ismark is looking around. He's like, I am not comfortable with this, but we must get to the church.
Very
I will
well.
not deny your final request to pay father your respects. Let us go.
As we
Okay.
walk, I'm going to ask her, have you fought ever?
I am proficient with the blade.
He has class level.
Well, I'm just
Do not worry. My sister has been trained to fight. Just as I was before this. And he kind of gestures to his leg.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he'll have to, for some reason or another. Do you say the nights are dangerous here?
Yes. Within town, I think we should be okay going across. As long as Strahd holds his word as we come back. I'm sorry if
Sure.
that does not give you comfort, but it gives me none either.
He
And
is...
with that, are going to
Change maps.
change maps. Yes.
Aha!
Aha!
So we are going to.
Plot twists.
also
You're
while
going
we
back
are
to-
walking, it would be the Onerith. This, are you going to assist in the services? You had done some things with, or at the previous manor.
And things at the previous manor.
When you put the other bodies to rest, you said some words.
Oh. You mean you would like me to speak?
I was just curious if you are going to do a ritual or whatever it is that you do. I'm not familiar in these ways. The goddess that I pray to doesn't focus so much on the death and remembrances, more on justice and sometimes even the chaoticness of things.
I mean, I'll certainly participate. I wouldn't be the best one to speak into these things, considering people here seem already concerned enough about strange circumstances. My method of conversation wouldn't be ideal, but Selyun would be very much invested in this situation. His body, his soul has been trapped and unable to wander for 3 days now. I'm sure at this point there's a strong desire to be able to move on. I'd like to see that through.
You guys are traveling across the town. As you are traveling, you do see that there are other people who, as they see that the coffin is going by, they are peeking from within their doorways. A few do seem to be following you, almost as a procession, as you guys are the pallbearers of this leader of the town, traveling your way through.
Just
So-
what pace we're going.
Yeah.
Have to stop anywhere.
Yeah, you hear the weeping continuing as you pass the 2-story home. People continuing to travel through. The procession increasing as you go. You make your way through, and we are going to skip over to the church itself.
Could I do an insight check on the people just to see, just to sort of get a read if this is respect or if this is sort of like,
An ambush.
well,
Curiosity?
maybe see, I like curiosity, or maybe even just seeing off someone that they are glad is gone. So
It's like a joy
There
or
is-
sorrow.
Sort of a double verification of his
Yeah.
his
Or if
story.
it's
that's all.
Strahd's minions waiting to ambush us.
That's more what Onyx believes.
So, yeah, go ahead and roll me an insight check.
That's gonna be a hot 7.
Okay. As you look around, you don't see many tears. You do see a lot of grim faces around.
Well, all right.
As you approach, going to switch maps once more for the church.
More plot twists. Bet you didn't know we were gonna go to a church.
Atop a slight rise, you guys hear the bells of the church increasing in volume, calling those of the town that want to pay their respects to the burgomaster to come set his soul to rest. That you guys see atop a slight rise against the roots of the pillar stone that supports Castle Ravenloft stands a gray, sagging edifice of stone and wood. The church has obviously weathered the assaults of evil for centuries on end, and is worn and weary, like an old man who has spent too long in the storms of life. You see the bell tower rises towards the back, and flickering light shines through holes in the shingle roof. The rafters straining feebly against their load. You see what looks like a heavy-set man standing at the doors of the church. He is wearing commoner clothing, but on his chest you see the holy symbol of the Morning Lord. He sees you move forward. Come. Dusk approaches.
I guess
Supposed to be
we'll
bringing the
hurry
coffin
over.
forward.
Ismark, you found the pallbearers for your father then? I was afraid you might not be able to. Hmm. Hmm. I do not recognize your holy symbols. Well, yours looks familiar, though I do not know the name. And he points at Graves. He's
Ah.
like, and you in the back, Selun, I welcome thee.
I
Merrick
am
just nods respectfully.
He's like, I am but humble priest of the Pharasma, the Lady of the Graves.
Well, perhaps she may speak. The Morning Lord has been quiet for many a decade. Come. It is coming to dusk, and he almost seems to be like every word he makes is causing him strain, and he's having to gasp for air every time he speaks. You almost as if he had just run upstairs, sweat beading upon his forehead. He looks over your shoulder. And he's like, Ismark, your sister, Irina? I did not expect. But either way, we should get this underway before night fully sets upon us. He walks around the building. As he walks, you see that behind him on the door, there are the front of the church doors. Heavy oaken slabs are riddled with torn marks from scratches and fire from long ago. The village
Breeders
people
in the
are
trees.
following you. And I'm going to move way up here, so we aren't gonna. He pulls out a key, unlocking the crypt beyond. He's like, come, it is in the northeast corner of our place. I was able to get the grave buried. Some townsfolk were able to assist. There are a few that know how to read that will be assisting with the ceremony. Yes, that we pay our respects, but time is making fools of us, and it's best that we begin. It has been many a year since we've had it, but do any of you four have incense to be able to burn?
Yes, I have a fair bit of incense on me, actually. I perform burial rites frequently.
If you could be so kind.
Yes.
It has been many a year since we've been able to burn incense for our ceremonies. And I
yeah,
think
I've
that
got a bunch of incense and a censer.
this
the
is...
candles too.
We got a lot of
my lantern.
candles.
Yeah,
I'm lousy with
I
candles.
think probably half of us have incense. But I have an incense and a censer that Graves would probably have pretty handy because he performed a funeral earlier today.
Candles we have. It's the incense. The Vistani do not bring it for us, unfortunately.
You need a censer as well, though just the incense itself.
Yes, if you have a sensor, that would be please, if you could just sense the area as I
Of course.
read the final rites.
After we put the coffin down, then Graves will get out his censer, begin burning incense, and kind of, walk around doing the incense he knows what to do at a funeral with it. He'll do that.
So, Father Donovich, he walks forward, standing in front. He's like, please, if you could set the coffin here as we prepare.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah, we'll do
set
that.
it down where indicated.
Dusk approaches. It is dusk, and as the darkness moves in, the evening ritual must be said to ward off evil. The first step, I will recite the 8 tenets of faith. Please assist me. He looks, and some of the townsfolk, they look like they're regular people that attend the evening services. All of them are speaking as if they've seen these funerals far too often, and they know all of it without needing to read. Watch each sunrise, for each day is a gift. Another man turns. Always aid. Strive always to aid, to foster new hope, new ideas, new prosperity for all kinds and its allies. Donovich continues, his voice rising above the rest. Nurture life. It is sacred duty to foster new growth, nurture growing things, and work for rebirth and renewal. Perfect yourself, be fertile in mind and in body. Bring hope wherever you go. Plant seeds of hope, new ideas, and plans for a rosy future in the minds of all. Think ahead, consider the consequences of your action, so that your least effort may bring the greatest and best reward. Avoid negativity, for from death comes life, and there is always another morning to turn a setback into a success. Rules are secondary. Place more importance in activities that help others than in strict adherence to rules, rituals, and the dictates of your seniors. The shadows grow longer. What must be done second? The group, all in chorus, say, I will hold high my children, that they might see the sun. Rain begins to pour. How shall the evening ritual end? Again the chorus rings. I shall mourn as I watch the sun give way to the onslaught of night, and greet Saloon, friend and ally of our morning lord, for the darkness is no more under her beautiful silver light. Taking dirt, Father Donovich begins to spread it across the top of the coffin. A reader steps forward. Farewell, illuminated one, until we meet again. We carry the sun in our hearts until then. Give us the strength to carry on until the next dawn. We greet your ally, the Moon Maiden. Her silver light guides us until then. There is always another dawn. Farewell, precious sun. Donovich, yes?
Konerth is at the hearing of them praying to Selyun, and hearing them mention the moon. Konerth is going to try to desperately pray to Selyun to show them a sign and just cast, basically, like, I don't know if it'll actually happen, but he's like praying that, like, the moon kind of like breaks through the clouds and just casts light over the grave.
For sure. Yeah, roll me a religion check.
Come on. 16.
Okay. You are praying.
Just like
You don't
gripping its
see-
holy symbol.
You do not see any moonlight yet, but you are moved by the fact that even in this unholy place, you still see signs of your God being able to make a difference in these people's lives. Donovich, spreading dirt, he says, "Your last sunlight go to the arms of the morning lord. Be in his eternal warm, soothing light. We will miss your leadership. We will cherish your moments. Your legacy will continue throughout Ismark and Irina. Through them you shall live on." The group gathers together. "For in death, life. May the morning lord bless his passing. Too long have we endured hardships. Let us celebrate the life of..." Suddenly, the priest stops his sentence dead in his tracks, his voice seemingly caught in his throat. He stares at a spot in the distance beyond all of you. Sheer horror encapsulating his face. Conereth, you do see a beam of moonlight break through the clouds. And in the distance, following the line of sight, you see that appearing through the mist, a shiny black carriage, drawn by a thoroughbred warhorse, trundles down the cobblestone road towards the church, the moonlight shining across its sleek body. Donovich, his voice seeming to quicken, says, "Sanctus, Sanctus, Sanctus, Dominus Deus Sabaoth. Plena sunt caela et terra gloria tua. Hosanna in excelsis. Benedictus qui venit in nomine Domini. Hosanna in excelsis." Those commoners that had come to pay their respects to the old burgomaster all begin to turn, leaving quickly, almost as if they're fleeing in horror. Ismark clutches his cane as if he's going to use it to defend himself, brusquely shoving Irina behind his back. "Stay quiet, little sister. This does not bode well." As the carriage draws into the graveyard, a shrill alien scream sounds from the mist above, followed by another. Looking to the sky, 3 black-winged beasts dive from the sky, large bat-like wings sprouting from their arms, their bodies covered in coarse black fur. As they near the church, the screams of the fleeing commoners echo louder. These hideous monstrosities begin to circle overhead above the black carriage, letting out the occasional bone-chilling screech. Carriage is driven by a truly horrific sight. A small, pudgy, humpbacked deformity holds the reins to the horse. The left side of its face is covered with lizard scales. He has drooping ears of a bat. His left foot, hanging limply over the wheel, appears to be that of Web Duck's foot, and his arms have patches of black dog fur. His mouth is open in obvious enjoyment as the carriage bumps over the graves of deceased Barovians, his tongue lolling like a panting dog. As the carriage comes to a stop, this deformed lump of a man looks down at all, licking its lips nervously. He jumps, startled, as the largest of the bat-like monstrosities lands with a heavy thud in the carriage behind him. Unfurling its slick and leathery wings, the beast stands up straight amidst a series of guttural clicking noise with its tongues. Its large ears perk in the direction as it turns its terrifying face to your party, bearing pointed teeth. Its face is horrid, a combination of human and bat-like features. Milky white eyes stare hungrily at your group as the other two fly overhead, terrorizing the fleeing Barovians. Abacus, Petronius, Heel. Excellent beast, but they've been quite difficult to control when they're hungry. As you've stood watching the bat-like creatures, the dumpy-looking mutant man has waddled over to the door and opened it. The dark interior emerges, a leather calf-high boot, followed by two pale hands on the doorframe. Greetings. My sincerest apologies for our tardiness. Cyrus is not the most competent driver. You hear Father Donovich let out a huge sigh of relief. Ismark's posture relaxes ever so slightly. What business have you here, intruding here, Rahadan? Intruding? My poor simple boy, your late father can add your appalling manners to his long list of failures. Ismark snarls. Before you, you see a tall, well-dressed Dusk elf stepping forward. His expression of smug amusement on his face as he surveys the funeral procession. Rain falls lazily down as he snaps two slender fingers together, and the remaining two bat creatures fly down next to the carriage. This is the first Dusk elf that you have seen since your mother was dragged away from you, Coneric. Amazing creatures, don't you think? I assisted our lord with the design myself. Genetic splicing is a tricky and painful process, but the results? Pure brilliance. Took several Barovians to perfect the process. But now we have them. The Kikokoka, the first of their kind. He looks at the party, almost as if he's looking for feedback on his work.
If anyone is keen to notice at all, Coneric is very subtly hyperventilating.
Now, I don't mean to throw a wrench in this, but is a Dusk Elf the same as a Drow?
Yes, it's...
Sorry,
Sorry.
From my
I had to Google it. Because, like, is that different than a Drow? Or they look to be a specific Barovian type.
Yes, it is like a Drow. One of the things is with Curse of Strahd is a way for them to kind of make things seem like they are older is they use terminology from 4E.
Yeah, say
Or
Dusk Elf
Barovia.
appears up. Yeah, the Dusk Elf, when I Googled it, is a 4E subrace of elf from Barovia.
And it would be very similar to a Drow, from what you have seen. Mostly focusing upon being in the darkness. They are... they are not... Oh, God.
They're more pale.
It'd be like...
Yeah. Yeah, because I just found the guy that we are talking to here.
Yeah.
This
Well, I was
dude.
just thinking because, like, you had described, obviously, like, obviously they're a subrace, so they're like the same, but like a different shade, I guess.
Yes. So within the Forgotten Realms, and there's kind of a gray area with it. They were kind of used interchangeably. The Drow versus the Dusk. Within like what I was saying, within my kind of version of it, they are interchangeable. I'll be honest, when I was looking into it, it did not look like there was much of a difference between them. And that was kind of the assumption I was moving forward with.
The very quick one I saw seems to be more so just like a specific term to use for them to Barovia instead. Said the dude looks a little bit different, but like Drow have paler skin now as well. They're more like lilac-y anyway.
To be like, effectively, they are the same race and have the same appearance. You would more so separate them by the
Like,
fact that Drow
By
actually
geographical
live,
location.
Yeah,
in
location
the
and different.
Underdark.
I guess I was
Yeah.
just confusing it with the Shatterkai, which are like
That's what I was thinking first as well.
I have no idea what that is.
They're like a gray elf. Their
Okay.
service, their whole thing is death. They like serve the Raven Queen.
So nope, like they are Drow, kind of not necessarily culturally connected with the Drow,
Yeah.
but genetically connected, if that makes sense.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So does anyone respond to him kind of eyeing the party?
I mean, Herbert is probably sneering, like.
Graves would use Eyes of the Grave, so there's a quick flash of Pharasma symbol in his eyes as he detects undead within 60 feet.
Double
I'm
check.
suspecting probably not, but I'm just gonna check. That's what he would do. And I'll mark off that I used it.
Double check.
But I mean, Herbert is he finds it difficult to hide the expression on his face.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not keen to like speak up because he does not want to like start a fight or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because he's very upset about what these people are doing, but he's also pretty weak currently. So he doesn't feel like there's much he is able to do about it in the present moment.
I'm
No,
sorry.
that's
And your
understandable.
name?
Well, they had addressed him as Rahadin.
Right.
Yes, it's Rahadin. And you?
Oh, I'm just a traveler.
Yes, I did see you had spent some of your work. Yeah, I'm glad to see that some more of the Durst blood was wiped off. But no matter.
How'd you know
Ismark
about that?
Ismark interrupts and he's like, "Why are you here?" Rahadin kind of closes his eyes and he kind of gives like a heavy sigh as if he's and he's like, "I'm here to pay my respects to your miserable father, you ungrateful wretch. Now hold your tongue, or I'll have it removed." Rahadin strides forward. Cyrus, clumsily holding his cape to keep it from trailing in the mud. He walks past each of you, eyeing you with keen interest. As he does so, a horrifying sound fills all your ears.
Point of clarification as well, quick. Did I detect any undead?
You did not detect any undead,
Okay.
sorry. A horrifying sound fills all your ears. The howling screams of countless men and women ring loudly in your ears. I need everyone to do a wisdom saving throw.
Boy.
Do my bonuses. Ooh, got a nice bonus. Let's see if I can get a nice roll. Yeah. That's a 23 for Graves.
Oh boy.
It's going to be 19 for me.
16.
Connareth has advantage on wisdom saving throws.
Nice.
Ooh. Okay, so all of you succeed. You can tell that, however, Ismark, Irina, and Donovich are extremely off-put by this. Eventually, you see that the elf stops before Ismark, peering around him to look at Irina. Ismark puffs up his chest, bringing himself to closer to his full height, no longer slouching against his cane. Rahadin sneers in a mocking fashion. His malevolent eyes are alight with a burning desire, one which you all recognize as the madness of one who loves to kill. Now, Ismark, let's not make it 2 funerals today. Donovich has enough to worry about without having to bury Kolyanoviches all day. Irina pushes Ismark to the side, who stumbles, tripping over his cane. She turns as if to attack Rahadin. At this, the elf makes no movement to defend himself. However, his face transforms into a horrific visage of death and cruelty. The howling screams escalate in volume and intensity as Ismark drops to the ground, clutching his ears, screaming madly. Irina, she says, stop, please. She drops to her brother, helplessly attempting to sedate him. Rahadin's mask of a face returns to its previous state as he straightens his posture and runs a hand through his hair absent-mindedly. The howling screams subside, but do not disappear. Ismark groans and rolls onto his side, holding his face in his hands. Irina, kneeling in the wet ground, looks up at Rahadin. What do you want, snake? Ignoring the insult, Rahadin instead ducks into a low bow. My dear Tatiana, barring any more interruptions, I wish to bestow upon you my deepest condolences for the loss of your father. Despite his numerous shortcomings, he must certainly succeed in raising a strong, beautiful young daughter. My master is bereaved at his inability to attend, but alas, he has a matter of utmost importance that requires his current attention. He bequeathed this for me to present to you. Rahadin reaches into his thick winter coat and pulls out a yellowish envelope. He holds it before Irina, where it stays for several long moments. Rahadin's eyes flash dangerously before Irina reaches up and takes it, a lone tear running down her cheek. Irina looks at the envelope and she's like, you can give this to your master. And she splits on the ground before Rahadin, who does not break eye contact, a humorless smile creeping onto his face. Very well, then. Despite my honest intentions to pay my respects to your father, I can see this was a waste of time. I did tell my master this, but he insisted. He cares for you very much, Tatiana. One day you will come to see it. Rahadin turns to Donovich, who is trembling and mumbling prayers under his breath. Oh, shut it, will you, Donnie? No one is listening. How's that son of yours? Still keeping him locked up? Donovich's prayers continue as he stares at the elf, beads of sweat falling profusely from his face. No, you're doing him more harm than starving, you know. Better to just kill him and be done with it. Although I do commend you for sticking to your philosophy. Even I would feel remorse for putting someone through such incredible pain and torture, let alone my own son. At this, Donovich fully breaks down and drops to his knee, blubbering like a large baby. Rahadin turns and eyes the few commoners that remain behind, exchanging a nod with Constantine before turning on the party. I did hear we were expecting newcomers. I trust you're enjoying your stay in Barovia thus far. Bit grim, food's not great, and the weather's appalling, but hey, it's home now, right? He flashes an evil smile.
Oh no.
I think Graves at this point would speak up, be like, well, my well-dressed friend, I would warn you to be cautious, as the Morning Lord is not the only one who has servants in Barovia. For your actions here have certainly offended my lady of the Greys, Pharasma, and she is not one to take kindly to such acts.
I'm trembling.
Oh, you will be in time. You may not yet realize it, but there will come a reckoning. You must prepare yourself for that, for you will not escape her judgment. No one does.
No. It's interesting, you're not the first one to speak of this Pharasma. Maybe you'll fare the same.
I've
But,
already
no.
cheated death multiple occasions. I would be willing to
Perhaps
do
my
so
master will be interested. He did express great interest in meeting you all personally. I imagine you'll hear from him shortly. Well,
again. I just realized I'd saying the term cheated death is probably a poor term for a cleric of Pharasma, but
either way. Oh, he did tell me to tell you one thing before I could depart. He said that he will communicate with you again, the one that he's already spoken to. But I think it's time we departed. Come, Cyrus. The Kokokra need feeding. With that, the Dusk Elf turns and begins walking towards the carriage, the screams of the dead fading as he leaves. Pulling himself into the carriage, he turns and holds out a hand in farewell. Standing on the edge of the carriage as it begins to pull away. So long for now. I'm sure this will not be the last we'll see of one another. Till next time. The carriage pulls away, the door slams shut, and the humpback mutant Cyrus waddles his squat frame into the front of the carriage, where he struggles to heave himself back into the driver's seat. This takes several painful seconds, almost a full minute. Rahadin, reaching out, opens the window and he's like, Cyrus, get on the damn carriage already. Blubbering profusely, Cyrus finally manages to haul himself up into the driver's seat, picking up the reins, turning the horse out of the graveyard. The Kokokra take flight once more, their shrill cries echoing across the grave of the dead. Carriage trundles down the road and disappears once more into the thick swirling mist. And that is where we'll end tonight's session. Thank you
I'm ready
so
for
much.
next time again.
Thank you so much for joining in our live stream of Curse of Strahd, as they have met Rahadin, who I think made an impression. With that, we are going to be moving to our after chat, and as we enter into a long rest until next time. And again, for the love of crits, like and subscribe.